goes out to all the women in the world, especially her. You know it don't even matter your age, don't even matter your color. Yo, fellas, I ain't forget about y'all. This is for everybody that like to dance. Just listen to what I'm saying and do it and take a chance. I put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. You put your hand up on my hip. When you dip, I dip, we dip. I put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. You put yours, then I put mine. Then we can dip down low and roll and grind. Just get on the floor like I said before. Y'all remember that down low? Just put a little dip with it. Now roll those hips with it. Pop it, push it, rock it, roll it. Can't control it, I come hold it. It's all in fun, so take a chance. Just get on the floor and do that dance, y'all. I know you like it, so don't try to fight it. Turn around, baby, let me see you from the back. Yeah, I like it like that. Get up now, roll those hips. Drop down, double up on those dips. Freak nasty, wanna see, can y'all do it right? I put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. You put your hand up on my hip. When you dip, I dip, we dip. I put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. You put yours, then I put mine. Then we can dip down low and roll and grind. Back again with the second verse. It's all clean, so I'm not gonna curse. Dropping bass like a bad habit. Love all women, cause I gotta have it. Coming at y'all in stereo. I'm riding that thing like a rodeo. Hang on, baby, cause the ride is rough, and I got my girls in the front. Now and later, just bumping that rump. Raise it up, let me see that ground. Slap it, girl, make it jiggle around. Round and round that rump goes. Where it stop, yo, no one knows, yeah. Freak nasty, wanna see, can y'all do this right? I put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. You put your hand up on my hip. When you dip, I dip, we dip. I put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. You put yours, then I put mine. Then we can dip down low and roll and grind.
Well, all right, y'all. If you ain't dipping, then you must be tripping. If you ain't doing it down low, gots to go. So the people that moving slow, just moving slow. Yo, DJ, pump it up some more.
It's off to the show in a limo. Before the show, I gotta get that dough. Pay them girls what they worth. Slip that money under that skirt. Take it out, baby, let me see. You might get a little more Lucci. G-string, having oh so much fun. Playing this side between them buns. Shawty got it going on like Marvin. Teasing me and she know I'm starving. Lick you up, then lick you down. I ain't finished, girl, turn around. Lick you up and down your back, cause I'm that freak, I'm freaky like that. Freak nasty, wanna see, can y'all do this right? I put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. You put your hand up on my hip. When you dip, I dip, we dip. I put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. You put yours, then I put mine. Then we can dip down low and roll and grind. I'm setting it off to another level. You digging freak nasty without a shovel? This is my world. I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut. So what's up, yo DJ? When the party's getting slow, join this jam and watch that flow get taken over like in '94 when I had the whole world getting down low. New Orleans born, ATL living. Freak nasty is what I'm giving. My juice is sweet like Georgia peaches. Women suck it up like leeches. It feels so good, you must admit you like this. Yeah, y'all know the song. So come on, won't you sing it? I put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. You put your hand up on my hip. When you dip, I dip, we dip. I put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. You put your hand up on my hip. When you dip, I dip, we dip. I put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. You put your hand up on my hip. When you dip, I dip, we dip. I put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. You put your hand up on my hip. When you dip, I dip, we
Deliver me from mine enemies, O my God. Defend me from them that rise up against me. Deliver me from the workers of iniquity, and save me from bloody men. The mighty are gathered against me. Awake to help me, and behold.
All right, Chet, how we doing? How's everybody doing tonight? We didn't play the listener pick playlist because I don't know if I'm even going to go for very long. I don't know if this will even, if I say a proper show, as if any of them are. But I couldn't. I tried to stream twice earlier tonight and it just wouldn't go. It just kept dropping me off. I don't know if YouTube was having problems or if the dying laptop was having problems or a combination of both. I don't know, man. I was going to watch the whole Razor Fist debunking and react to it. Which I guess is kind of stupid because I've already said everything there is to say about it. I don't know. Um, I thought maybe we'd cover it some more. I don't know. I had seen a couple. I watched Virgie's coverage of it, which is basically said all the same things I was already saying. I hoped Kino Casino would cover it tonight, but they're covering iDubbbz. I don't even know who iDubbbz is, by the way. I honestly don't. A lot of these internet fucking characters, like I've never watched them, or when I did watch them, they're boring, or I don't know, man. I'm not a brain rotted Zoomer, so I don't. I didn't grow up watching PewDiePie make stupid noises at terrible indie horror games. So a lot of this is like, I'm like, who the fuck is this? But yeah, I thought about, oh, it's gonna sit here. We'll watch the whole video as Razorfist sits there in front of his Star Wars toy, like a faggot, and makes non-arguments that have nothing to do with anything. I couldn't have been chatting up a 15-year-old girl because I had a girlfriend at the time. Oh, that proves it. Guys, I couldn't be the guy in that beat-off video, even though it really, really looks like I'm in that beat-off video, because here's some troll that re-uploaded it. See? Case closed. Chat says, well, this is random. I used to stream late night a lot. Part of the reason I don't do it is because, I don't know, I just don't get as much of an audience. You know, and I need the super chats. I need them super chats, people. I'm poor. I'm broke. I need them super chats. Did Bedloff find work with the Amish yet? I did not. God. I'm desperate enough. I'm thinking it. I have friends that might be able to get me kid. I am considering looking into one of those driving the Amish around jobs. Oh man. And I won't be able to hold it if they ever fucking look me up online and hear me talking about how they're not people. They're uncivilized, smelly, backwards fucking savages. But most of them, they don't look at shit online, so, you know, whatever. I'm almost that desperate. God, I'll feel dirty. I feel dirty doing that. Chat says we're all asleep or at work. I don't know, man. I got some night owls in the audience. You know, night owls are the superior race. Just keep your mouth closed and your eyes open forward driving the Amish. Yeah, and keep a fucking stuffed tissues in your nose so you can't smell them. Breathe through your mouth when you drive the Amish. I want to like drive them around, but like in full like hazmat gear, like a gas mask. That is the way you should handle the Amish. You should absolutely treat them like biohazard. So yeah, I don't know. I thought about doing like a reaction. I was gonna do one tonight, and I just connectivity issues. I wasn't able to stream earlier, and I'll take that as a sign from God, where it's like, don't bother sitting there listening to his horseshit. It honestly is amazing though when you look at the replies, and I guess part of that's because he's blocked anyone that's remotely critical of him. But all the replies are like, "Ha ha! Razor debunked it." It's like, how did he do that exactly? Because I watched that video. Fucking Star Wars toy in the background. He's younger than me. That's what really gets me with the Star Wars thing with him. He's younger than me. But he's not quite young enough that he was like a kid in the 2000s. I understand if you were like 10 when episode 5 or episode 3 came out. I could understand it getting under your skin then. But he's like 3 or 4 years younger than me, I think. And I was... What was I in 1999? 16, I guess? I was 16, I guess, when episode 1 hit. And I thought it sucked. I thought it sucked at 16. Again, I didn't have a ton of connection to the original. I had seen them, and they were fine. I knew a lot of other people that were fucking obsessed with it, but I never was. It's funny too. For as much as he's litigating the whole like, oh, I certainly wasn't a groomer. I couldn't possibly have slid into a 15-year-old's DMs because I had a girlfriend, and that disproves it. The entire reason all that shit got brought up is because of the Melanie Mac simping and the turning a 180 on fucking censorship like he did. But that's a right-wing thing, man. And Razor's nothing if not a partisan hack. Right-wingers are all about free speech until they're not. That's just how they are, man. I mean, there's exceptions. There's principled exceptions. Chat says, Beckloff, who do you think has a bigger block list, Razorfist or Dan Slott? That's a good one. I mean, Dan Slott back in the day, I remember he blocked a lot of fucking people. I believe he blocked the Beckloff on Twitter, and I don't think I had ever actually tweeted at him. I had tweeted shit about how One More Day is shit. I had tweeted about him. I think he's one of them guys that just name searches himself. I don't think Dan Slott's a bad writer, by the way. I don't think he has written a lot of garbage, but he's also written some decent stuff. The first Spider-Verse story is solid. It's got a few weird mistakes in it. Dan Slott likes to bring up like obscure continuity, but do it wrong, which is worse than if you hadn't brought it up at all. It's like way worse. I'll give you an example. This is just one that's, I remember, this is the first time I noticed it with him, so it's one that sticks with me. He did a Spider-Man Human Torch miniseries back in the mid-2000s. And it was pretty good. Each issue took place in like a different era, and there was like kind of a common thread. Each issue was mostly standalone, but there was sort of a common thread that sort of came to a head in the final issue. And like, you know, first issue's in the Silver Age. I think the second issue is like when Spider-Man has black costume initially, that kind of shit. They sort of skip over the 90s time period. And then they get to, like, finally they get to the present day in Marvel. And they bring up the 90s stuff as kind of to shit on it. Because this was a time when people wanted to shit on the 90s comics a lot. And Human Torch talks about, like, oh, remember when we did this? And it's like, no, that was my clone, Ben Reilly, when he was Spider-Man. Oh, remember when we did this? Oh, that was my clone. Oh, remember when we did this? That was my clone. And it was like a gag too. But the problem is, Human Torch knew Ben Reilly was not, he didn't know he didn't know Spider-Man's secret identity. But he knew Ben Reilly was a different Spider-Man. I could nerd out and point to the exact issue where, as Spider-Man, Ben Reilly first encounters Human Torch, and he's like, you're not the Spider-Man I knew. Also, the stuff he references, like he references, remember when we fought Demo Goblin together? And it's like, that was Ben Reilly. Demo Goblin was killed well before Ben Reilly was Spider-Man. Again, kind of obscure. You could say these are obscure nerd shit. But, like, why reference obscure shit and get it wrong? You know what I mean? That's the thing he does all the time. He likes to be like, oh, I'm referencing these nerd things, these little obscure nerd things, these little Easter eggs for the hardcore fans. And then the hardcore fans are like, that's actually wrong. And then he gets mad on social media. Shut up, nerd. It's just a comic book. What do you care? That's not a good way to handle things. Like, I'm not faulting you for not knowing these things. Of course, there are countless resources where you could look shit up. You know, if you were going to write for one of these comics, wouldn't you look shit up? You know, Marvel and DC constantly put out encyclopedias and whatever to be like, here's what the fuck is canon. In DC's case, here's what's canon right now. But why reference it and then just get it wrong? And he's done this for like his entire career. Like, you didn't have to reference fucking Ben Reilly Spider at a time when Marvel was trying to pretend like that. Never, Marvel was like, don't mention. Marvel was so afraid of the catering sales of the Clone Saga, they were like, don't even mention Ben Reilly. They generally like to try and not even mention him. So why reference Ben Reilly and Demo Goblin and then just show that you didn't know anything about them? Demo Goblin's pretty fucking obscure. I love Demo Goblin. One of my personal favorite Spider-Man villains. But he's hardly a well-known fucking, even among Spider-Man fans. Dashing Rogue says, Razor Fap will sue you. Best be careful. Let me be clear. I believe that Razor Fist was dating a 15-year-old and grooming her until she became 18 to move him out to his place. That's what I believe happened. I could be wrong. All the available evidence points to it, and he's done nothing to dissuade it with his non-arguments about how, well, I couldn't have been doing it because, Godzilla Sales says, I guess it would have been fine to mix up continuity back in the early 2000s or older, but nowadays there's no excuse for how many resources there are. Look, man, even back then, like 2004, Marvel put out a big hardcover. I still have it to this day. Spider-Man Encyclopedia. That was huge and really thorough. Like characters that appeared one time or given full up-to-date at that point backstories. Like, just pick it up, man. Ask around. Even back then, you could have gone on Spider-Fan or Sam Ruby. I believe both of which are now defunct sites, but they were big. Like, you could have just looked it up. Or just don't reference it. Don't start yammering on about characters you don't know about. It's like when somebody's like a compulsive liar, but they're bad at it, and they start adding details that were completely unnecessary, but getting them wrong. Red Pill Renegade says, to think Razor Fist threw his beliefs out the window to kiss up to Melanie Mac, but I guess censorship is okay as long as it's his side that decides it. Principles be damned. Razor Fist didn't. Let's be real. On one level, he kind of didn't throw out his beliefs, because Razor Fist has always been a very partisan hack, who just like whatever. Like Virgie pointed this out, and I'd heard him say this a couple of times, where he's like, we can't. He's one of these right wingers that say we can't legalize marijuana because left wingers like marijuana and fuck them. Like, oh, if states legalized marijuana, then Democrats from blue state, if a red state did it, if a red state legalized marijuana, he believes Democrats would flood into that state and it would flip it blue. Now, I don't think that would happen. I don't think marijuana legalization alone would be enough to cause millions of fucking people to flee to one state to another. Even if it is, though, isn't there like a principled argument that, like, if you believe in freedom, then that should be why you want to legalize it? Or if you're an authoritarian shithead who wants to control everyone's life, then that should be why. Why is the reason to ban it just some really cynical Machiavellian horseshit about this is how we'll win an election, even though it's not gonna work? Like, Red Pill Renegade says, well, the Clone Saga deserved the criticism it got back in the day because of how much of a confusing, convoluted mess that storyline was. Clone Saga had some cool things going for it. Ben Reilly wasn't a bad character by any stretch. Just a bit more jaded of a Spider-Man. It would have been cool for him to have stuck around afterwards as the Scarlet Spider. I didn't like the idea of, oh, he's the real Spider-Man. Peter's going to retire now. And really, that was just an early attempt at one more day. That was writers convinced that we can't have Peter Parker married. So we'll put him off into the sunset so we can go back to telling stories of Spider-Man had to stand up his date to go fight Doc Ock for the millionth fucking time. When I did my big, 2-hour deep dive live stream with Luke on One More Day and all the Oedipus complex themes and all, we spent about 5 minutes at the beginning explaining the Clone Saga. A very bird's eye view, trust me, because holy shit. And the whole reason we did that is, this was the proto One More Day. This was their beta testing that idea. And it went over like a fucking fart in church. All right? To the point where within a year, in a year's time, Ben Reilly was dead and Peter was back in the webs. It was literally 1 year. It was almost basically the calendar year of 1996 that Ben Reilly was Spider-Man. And if you think about it, I mean, comics take like 3 months at least to produce. You know? Usually it's about 6 months. At least back then. So the backlash was so severe and the sales dropped so sudden that Marvel knew almost right away. In fact, I remember, you can go back and look, and it's like 3 or 4 issues in to these books at that time. They were already starting to hint around, lay the groundwork to undo this shit. Because they knew they fucked up bad. Like, oh my God, we fucked up. Like, they knew. It wasn't like the stubborn, partly because the comic book industry was in such trouble right around 1996. But you didn't have that stubborn Joe Quesada, I'll die on this hill shit. They were like, oh man, we gotta flip this back around. So yeah, the Clone Saga definitely had a lot of, and there was a lot of weird shit going on at the time. Like that lady Dr. Octopus character, that second, after Doc Ock had died, he got better because his comics. But after he died, there was some other chick that like took over his role, called herself Doc Ock, and then she was like there was all these weird virtual reality things she was doing, like gay VR trooper nonsense. Red Pill Renegade says, dude, they wanted Mary Jane out of Peter Parker's life for a while, even back in the day when they tried to write her. Oh, yeah, like, oh, pardon me. Shortly after One More Day, they like, oh, Mary Jane died in a plane crash. But then it turned out, like, her stalker had kidnapped her. She never got on that plane. But then when she got back, she, like, left Peter for a little while until JMS brought her back. Like, there's a lot of cases of writers doing it. Like, I don't understand it. I honestly don't. Like, they're so hell-bent on just not giving the fans what they want. The highest selling Spider-Man ever was in the 80s after he was married. Like, now you could say, oh, that was because of Todd McFarlane. I mean, maybe. But he didn't have to make him single. Oh, we have to have all these great new storylines after. The only thing that they did after One More Day that I will give any credit to is the Superior Spider-Man. Or I should say the only thing they did that would have been more difficult to do with him single, or impossible maybe, was Superior Spider-Man. Because Doc Ock taking him over, MJ would have figured that shit out. And she basically did figure this out, but she wasn't really close enough to him at all. That would have been hard to do, the Superior Spider-Man arc, with him married. You still could have, really, I would argue. And it's the only thing that had any critical or commercial success, or one of the only things, I should say, that afterwards that would have been hard to do. All the beating the multiverse shit together could have, all that Spider-Verse horse shit could have easily been done with him married. All this weird stretching the symbiotes way the fuck out could have been done with him married. The only thing that was well received critically and commercially that would have maybe been harder to do with him married was the original Superior Spider-Man arc. And you still could have found a way. Our Godzilla Cells said, didn't they try to get rid of MJ in the 90s cartoon too? Yeah, like he got married to MJ, but it turned out like that was a Hydro Man clone and the real MJ had been missing for a while. Like, I don't get why the fuck they do that. Godzilla says, yeah, so, okay. the real MJ had been sucked into some portal, into another dimension or some horse shit, and supposedly she came back, but it was a Hydro Man clone. It was like Hydro Man made an MJ. I don't fucking remember how they explained it, but she died. She disintegrated away to nothing, and then Spider-Man was going to find MJ, and then they did the last couple stuff like Secret Wars and Spider Wars and that shit. It's kind of a precursor to Spider-Verse, and then the show ended. Now, supposedly Unlimited Spider-Man Unlimited is supposedly a sequel to that show. That's highly debatable. But a lot of the showrunners would argue that it is a sequel, and he is with MJ at the beginning of that show. Also, X-Men 97, which the continuity between those Marvel shows is a fucking mess. They're supposedly a shared universe, but it's a fucking mess of continuity. Point is, X-Men 97, which supposedly takes place after these shows, I believe, we see Peter and MJ together on the street. So, I believe canonically he found her, is what most of the people involved in the creation of that would tell you. Red Pill Renegade says, my guess is because of the artists and writers were so fixated on how good the past storylines were with Spider-Man, they wanted to keep it that way for the decades onwards. I don't know, man. Like, the early Silver Age stuff is good, but like 70s Spider-Man kind of blows. It has its moments, but it's not all that particularly good. 80s Spider-Man, 90s Spider-Man, if you take the Clone Saga out of the fucking equation, are both very good, and they sell well. And they sold well. JMS's run was really doing well in the 2000s, and he very early on worked MJ back into the picture and had a big respect for their relationship. Yeah, I don't think that there was anything particularly great about Spider-Man. Even the Black Cat stuff, like, oh, Black Cat's a better love interest. No, she's not. Black Cat's a hoe, all right? And, like, she's dating Spider-Man, and then, like, he takes the mask off, and she doesn't like that he's just some average dude under there. She's not even into Peter Parker. Like, poor Spider-Man has to leave the mask on when he's railing this hoe. Like, that is a trashy, toxic fucking relationship. And it's written that way. It's meant to be that fucking way. In the Ultimate Comics, the original Ultimate Comics, he was still a teenager. And I believe he was broken up with MJ at the time. And teenager, they break up, they get back together, whatever. But Ultimate Black Cat gets on the scene, and she wants to do him, and he takes the mask off to kiss her, and she's like, oh my God, are you 12? What the fuck? 'Cause she's an adult in this. And that was hilarious to me. Ultimate Spider-Man's some good shit. The original Ultimate Spider-Man. Like, once the Ultimate Universe was great until Jeff Loeb ran it into the dirt with Ultimatum. It was basically the end. And then after that, like, we get Miles and fucking gag me. It's been like 15 years now. Are we ever gonna? We keep giving Miles new powers, but we can't give him a personality. Oddly enough, and I don't even like those movies, but he actually has a personality in the fucking Spider-Verse movies. He's actually kind of somewhat interesting in those movies. I don't think they're good movies, especially the second. The second one is a mess of a fucking movie. I don't like how the character assassinate fucking Spider-Man 2099. The clashing art styles is a fucking just a mess visually. And you got like an Atari sprite next to a fucking live action actor next to Spectacular Spider-Man next to Lego Spider-Man. I'm like, what am I even fucking looking at here? You know, the first one of those movies They kind of had different visual styles, but it wasn't so overdone to the point where it still looked like they were things that were occupying the same space and time. Like, it looked like they were in the same room together. Like, you didn't just fucking slap this together in MS Paint. The second one goes hog fucking wild with that shit. To a point where I'm like, it's animation. You could stretch things a certain amount in animation and still be believable. Still actually make you feel like you're looking at something that's fucking real. At least on an emotional level. This doesn't do that. Eldritch Fan says, ever watch Spectacular Spider-Man? I thought it was great. I have. I haven't seen all of it. I really should just sit down and binge that show. Everything I did see of it was good. I'm not a big fan of the art style. But it wasn't enough to keep me out of it. It's not what I would have gone with, but it didn't bother me a great deal. Sometimes art styles will. Like, I have yet to be able to stomach getting through a single episode of Rise of the TMNT because the art style is that fucking atrocious to me. And based on the fact that every Rise of the TMNT fan has fucking pronouns in their bio and makes incest porn of them, I'm guessing I'm not missing much. Red Pill Renegade says, Joe Quesada really showed what he thought of the fans when he had the balls to say comic fans can't relate to being in a relationship with an attractive woman in response to One More Day criticism. Yeah, I don't... He's like, oh, you can't relate to it. Like, you can't, I guess, Joe. I've pulled a couple of fucking fire gingers in my day. I can relate to it, all right? By the way, Joe Quesada wants to fuck his mom. Well, I'm not kidding here. So, technically, JMS wrote One More Day. Technically. He disavows it. He said he wanted his name off of it. That was Joe Quesada's baby. 100%. Joe Quesada handed him the outline, the bullet points. JMS just had to do what he was told on that. One More Day drips with Oedipus complex horse shit all through it. Aunt May is Spider-Man's mom. For all intents and purposes. Aunt May is Spider-Man's mom. One More Day is the story of Spider-Man choosing his mom over his wife. Full stop. I know you could say, well, he was choosing his Aunt May, but his mom's life over his wife, over his marriage with his wife, whatever. Point is, when you're looking at the themes there, he is choosing his mom over his wife. And if you think I'm kidding with that, the end of One More Day, I shit you not. I don't have it in front of me because I would never keep such filth in my home. But the end of One More Day, Peter wakes up when it's all said and done. He hears someone in the kitchen saying, hey, Tiger, come down here. And it's Aunt May cooking him breakfast. And he kisses her on the neck from behind. Now, I know I wasn't close to my mom, chat. But we did have good times, my mom and I. Wasn't all bad. There were happy, affectionate times. I never kissed my mom on the neck from behind while grabbing her fucking waist. Never did that. Wouldn't have occurred to me to do that. Add to that the fact that, let's be real, Tiger is the pet name MJ had for Peter. It's the thing she likely screamed out during sex. If I was Peter, I would never let Aunt May say that word. If she ever, I would be like, Aunt May, if you're at the zoo and you see a tiger, you better say, look at that big cat. I don't ever want to hear that word come out of your mouth. One More Day is 100% dripping with an Oedipus complex. It is the story of Spider-Man choosing his mom over his wife. And because it is 100% Joe Quesada's baby, I gotta imagine Joe Quesada kind of wants to fuck his mom. I don't know this for sure. But if I was a betting man, if we could Professor X look into his mind and let's all take bets beforehand, I bet there's a lot of really awkward thoughts about his mom. Elder Chan says, Spectacular Spider-Man Doc Ock's arms had arms that could hack into computer systems, I think. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't see why they couldn't. They have also... Doc Ock's always had all sorts of little, like, weird contraptions in his arms since the beginning. Like, they could do, like, little weird things pop out of them. Saw blades and flamethrowers and shit. Red Pill Renegade says, Marvel seriously needs to toss out Miles Morales because of how much of a dull character he's been since 2012. And 300 reboots isn't making him any better. I don't know, they keep adding, like, powers to him. Like, he has a fucking magical fire sword now or something he can pull out of his dick hole. Like, just ridiculous nonsense. It's not even spider-themed. It doesn't even keep with the motif of his fucking... But how about instead of doing that, you just give him a fucking personality? You know, oh, you just hate him because you're racist. Bullshit. I love Miguel O'Hara. I love Spider-Man 2099. In fact, part of the reason I hate that second Spider-Verse movie is because of how they character assassinate him. Spider-Man 2099 fucking rules. That's a biracial character that is taking on the mantle of Spider-Man in his particular timeline. I love Spider-Man 2099. I like that his powers are, like, gross. I honestly like that Miguel's powers are kind of gross. Like, Spider-Man's powers are kind of bullshit magical. Like, he has spider sense. He's just psychic for some fucking reason. You know, he sticks to walls. How does he stick to walls? Well, it ain't like the movies where it's little hooks in his hands. None of that. He just sticks to walls. He just molecularly bonds to them. Because reasons. Whatever. Like, meanwhile, Spider-Man 2099 has fucking bio web shooters in his hands. He has organic web shooters in his hands. Which are, I kind of don't like that part that much, because generally in most species, males don't make webbings, and none of them make it out of their limbs. That's, like, he should be, like, shooting it out of his ass or something. That said, though, whatever. It's cool. It's kind of cool. And he clings to walls because he has retractable talons in his toes and his fucking fingertips. Which is cool. Kind of gross. And he has fucking fangs. That's why they kept calling him a vampire. Like, joking that he was a vampire in that Spider-Verse movie. He has fucking venomous fangs. He can, like, fucking bite you and just inject venom into you. I love that whole comic, too, is, like, Peter David, it was like, what if Spider-Man was Blade Runner? Like, what if it was like Blade Runner, but Spider-Man was swinging around and his powers were gross? There's so much cool shit in the 2099 universe. Like, everybody worships Thor as, like, a religion. You know? Like, Doom becomes fucking president. But it might not really be Doom. I think at least early on they were kind of ambiguous as to whether or not Doom 2099 was really Doom. Like, he shows up with, like... Doom 2099 shows up in 2099, upgrades his armor, supposedly from, like, a time bubble, but his memories are really incomplete, and they sort of hint around, is he a Doombot, is he a clone, whatever, who knows. I like cool shit like the Vulture, like, there's a Vulture 2099, he's a fucking cannibal and he eats people. There's a scene pretty early on in Spider-Man 2099 where he's fighting Vulture and the dude's like, he's got them big, like, mechanical fucking wings and shit, and they malfunction and Vulture starts, like, falling to his death. And Spider-Man's just like, yeah, fuck him. He's a piece of shit. And just watches him fall to his death. Like, eat shit, buddy. But, like, he's never full-on Punisher because there's a scene later when he's fighting Venom 2099, which is the symbiote had just been alive this whole time. It had hidden in the sewer or something. And somebody that Spider-Man... Somebody that has a personal connection to Miguel O'Hara becomes Venom, stumbles upon this symbiote. And, at the end of their big fight, Miguel is beating the shit out of him. He's, like, got all the public speakers to be blasting Sonic stuff, and he's just beating the fuck out of him. and the dude like just starts like, just don't kill me, man, don't kill me, man, just begging for like for his life. And Miguel stops. He's like, look, man, it's one thing to just let that motherfucker die. But am I really willing to just sit here and beat a man to death when he's begging for his life? I don't know about that. So I like that there was kind of, you get so many comic book superheroes where it's either the really moral faggy, like every life has value, I gotta go out of my way to save the Joker, or it's just Punisher, like, fucking shoot them all, like God sort him out. But you don't get a lot of people that are just like, sometimes you gotta ice a motherfucker. You don't have to be happy about it. Sometimes you don't have to go try and save somebody. Like, Eldritch Fan says, at an early age, I learned I could try to land a woman or have interesting pursuits. All the women I've ever tried were keen to go all Prager you on me. Nothing interesting about them outside the sack. Sorry to hear that, man. I have a run with some very terrible women in my past, some very horrendous women who were bad and they should feel bad. However, a lot of them were very, very good, and frankly, I did not deserve them. And they were lucky, and they were wise to have been tired of me. Eventually. And more in the middle. A lot of them in the middle too. Chet says, how far along are you in Gargoyles? I haven't really watched it again in the last few days. I've been meaning to. I want to finish Righteous Gemstones too. I just haven't been watching a lot of TV. I will admit, though, I sat and watched a lot of Virgie's stream about Razor Fist tonight. But, like, you don't have to really watch. See, when you're watching those goofy-ass streams, like, I'm not really sitting there watching it. You know what I mean? Like, when I'm doing that, I'm usually, like, doing other shit. Doing the dishes or fucking playing a video game or something. You don't have to really... It's not like a TV show where you got to sit down and watch it, You just have it on while you're doing other shit. It's radio. I imagine it's what most of you do. You just have this on as background noise while you're doing other shit. I do want to sit down and watch Gargoyles. I should watch Spectacular Spider-Man 2. I've been meaning to plow through all the 2003 Turtles. I've watched that in like bits and pieces, but I really haven't sat down and watched it like from beginning to end. Godzilla Cells says, calm waters never made good sailors. Give them crazy bitches a chance. Well, see the problem with me. Women seem to come in two speeds, crazy or boring, and I just have no tolerance for boring. My life would probably be better if I did, but I just don't. Eldritch Fan says, hey, I gotta go to bed now. Got work tomorrow. What is that stream name? Might check it out. So it's on Rumble. Virgie, I think, has 2 G's in his name, or maybe it's 2 Y's. I think it's 2 G's. And it's called Razor Fist is a Bad Person. So it was originally titled Razor Fist Fucks Kids. But he even partway through the stream, he's like, yeah, I'm going to change this title. I just want to get some attention. Oh, my gosh. Eldritch Fan says, you heard Dennis Prager is having a bad recovery after he got hurt? I did hear he got hurt. I didn't know how his recovery was going. I mean, he's a piece of shit. So, wish all the bad things in life upon him. I've done it before, and God forgive me, but I will no longer wish hell upon another individual. That's not a thing I'm doing. And I'm not even judging other people who do it. I'm not trying to be some moral fag who's like, I'm judging you for doing the thing I just stopped doing 10 minutes ago. That's not what I mean. But I won't do that anymore. But on a lot of these motherfuckers, I will be like, I hope all the bad things under the sun happen to you. Chat says, no wonder Marvel One More Day is still talked about after a decade and a half because of the deep permanent wound that story left on the Spider-Man franchise since 2007. It's... Chat, you know I need a job. Just a job, period. So I want you to understand this, and I mean this wholeheartedly. And this maybe is even foolish on my part. But if right fucking now, well, probably not right now because it's 1:28 in the morning, but let's say I wake up to the news that just out of fucking nowhere, the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics just said, you know, Beckloff, we just been watching you, chat. God told us he wants us to hire you. Well, for whatever reason, they're like, we want you to write Amazing Spider-Man. If I was presented that opportunity, first response I would have, can I undo one more day? And they would say no, because this is a hill they want to die on. And I would look them dead in the eyes and I would say, go fuck yourself. I don't want this Spider-Man. Like, the first thing I'd do, and I don't mean I'd just get Peter and MJ back together. I mean I would undo one more day. We would have Doctor Strange would undo the Mephisto curse or whatever the fuck we got to do. And we're going to draw Mephisto to look like Joe Quesada. Just a little bit like Joe Quesada. Just enough so that he knows when he reads it. But no, One More Day is still to this day the worst thing Marvel has ever done. I would rather that canceled New Warriors comic with Snowflake and Safe Space had come out than One More Day continue. I would rather more of shoving Durka Miss Marvel in everything than, and that's terrible too, by the way. But that's not as bad as One More Day. One More Day is literally putting a permanent fucking stain. And frankly, they could probably fix it. But until they undo it, it's a permanent stain on their flagship character. Spider-Man's still their biggest all-time fucking character. Yeah, the Avengers are big in a post-One More Day world. Wolverine's always fucking been big. Hulk's always fucking been big. He had a live-action network TV show back when that didn't happen for comic books. These are all big characters. None of them are like Spider-Man. Spider-Man is damn near as all-time popular and culturally impactful as the rest of Marvel's pantheon put together. It is absolutely their flagship character. Their single most profitable character ever. Their single most culturally impactful character ever. And they just put a fucking dookie stain on it 15 plus years ago. 18 years ago. Coming up on the better part of 20 fucking years ago. And they just refused to wipe it off. You just let Joe Quesada smear shit all over it, and then it just dried on there, and no one will wash it off. And just all the time, these editors are constantly, everybody is like, just undo one more day, and they just get mad at you for asking about it. Well, there's just no pleasing you people. Well, yeah, there would be if you fucking did the thing we asked for. I don't understand why this is so difficult to comprehend. Just reverse the decision that everyone hated. Mr. Bone says, I'm awake in a security job. Well, you should be sending super chats from your security job. I get no super chats, man. Come on. I need them super chats, people. I gotta dance like a monkey over here? Come on. Oh, Lordy. I wonder if Kino Casino actually, really did cut into the Razor Fist stuff. I miss when they were on YouTube because PPP, I think he was the one doing it, but they used to do timestamps that were so good. Like it was right there in the comments. They had a big timestamp thing where it was just 50 fucking timestamps. Like every few minutes there, it's like, here's what we're covering now. And you could go exactly to what you wanted, which is necessary because Kino Casino goes on for like 8 fucking hours. They're probably still live. It's also 30 minutes of bullshit. So like their stream started at 8:30 and I just happened to be online. I happen to be at the laptop. You basically have to be at the laptop to watch Kick, at least for me. It doesn't work well on my phone. I can't get it on the smart TV. So it's like, okay, well, and it's like they got their fucking boob girl at the beginning where it's like, welcome to the Kino Casino. It's like, okay, that's kind of charming. It's just a few minutes. And then there's like a song like with like AI generated Nick Rekieta playing guitar or something. It's like, all right, whatever. And then there's like another meme song. And then there's another meme song. And then there's another meme song. And we're like 35 fucking minutes into this before they hop on here. Look, I have my intro that's like 12 minutes. And part of that's only because people are buying playlists. I'm content to just play a song. Like, and that's just because, like, no one knows when I'm live. Whatever. I give people time to wander in. I get that. But, especially when you have that big of an audience, like, you really don't need that. You certainly don't need 35 fucking minutes of it. I don't know. Their shit's kind of entertaining when it's someone I know about and give a shit about. Like when they were really dunking hard on Fuentes, it was fun because Fuentes is a piece of shit. Ralph is less deserving of that ire, but he's still pretty deserving. So that was kind of entertaining. And a lot of the adjacent stuff, Beard Soy Queerly, you can always dump on him. But then it's like, oh, let's talk about iDubbbz. And I guess that's a big story, but I don't even know really who the fuck iDubbbz is. You know, you cover like in real life streamers, and I'm like, I don't know who these people are. It's kind of why I've lost interest with a lot of Medicare shit. Like Medicare's last stream, he covered Andy Ditch, who I have heard about, I've seen coverage of, but that's so dark, it's almost uncomfortable to watch. He did cover the N-word lady, and then it's just, he covered gaming imploding, but then there's a bunch of other shit where it's like, I don't know who these people are, I don't really care. Red Pill Renegade says they could undo one more day, but unfortunately they're too prideful to admit they fucked up. That's the hill they're willing to die on at the expense of fans. I really thought that they would once Joe Quesada left, because I knew that was the hill he was willing to die on. Joe Quesada did a lot of good for Marvel, but as far as I'm concerned, one more day completely outweighs all of it. All the good stuff he did with like Marvel Knights and shit. None of it. It's all erased by one more day, as far as I'm concerned. But I really thought when he left that maybe, like, he was the one keeping us from having Marvel and DC crossovers. By the way, I think Dan Didio over at DC felt the same way, but he's gone too. But like Joe Quesada almost canceled JLA Avengers before it came out. Thank God he didn't. But then it was like over 20 years we just had nothing. And here this past year they finally reprinted all the old crossovers. They've reprinted all of it now in 2 omnibuses except for JLA Avengers. And we're supposed to have a new crossover here by the end of the year. There hasn't been any details on it yet. But Red Pill Renegade says, also Marvel needs to remember superheroes are supposed to be aspirational figures that do amazing feats. There's nothing aspirational about reading misery porn, which Spider-Man is now at this point. You know, this idea that like Spider-Man's everyman appeal comes from like he has to be a loser and it has to be like terrible all the time. Like, if that were true, if well, he can't be married to a hot chick because it's just like. And by the way, there's been points after One More Day where it's like Spider-Man's a billionaire spy now, and his car is a transformer. I'm not making that shit up, by the way. Like right before Secret Empire, that shit was going on. He had a big company and he like worked for Shield and like he had a car that turned into a robot spider. It was fucking bonk. And it's like, wow, yeah, this is couldn't have him married. That'd be it wouldn't be relatable. But this is all fucking completely relatable. One of the stories, and it's about as far-fetched and off the fucking rails as you can get, where Spider-Man's everyman appeal actually shone really brightly, was the Marvel Zombie shit. Spider-Man, having been turned into this horrible monster who did horrible things, and constantly having guilt about it every time the hunger subsided, was very relatable. If fantastical things is what makes him not relatable, then he shouldn't be Spider-Man. I don't put on tights and go fight a man with fucking robot arms. I suspect neither do any of you. I miss him being married, man. More than that, though, I miss him being a fucking adult. One of the worst things in One More Day, and partially it's because of the spiritual themes of it. I mean, he chose his mom over his fucking wife. Spider-Man's been Spider-Man child ever fucking since. Very rarely have I really felt like I was reading about the fucking man I once knew in these books. I got into the books in the fucking 90s and Spider-Man was a fucking man. He was a grown-ass fucking man. And he was written as, and drawn as such. None of this Soider-Man shit. Yeah, he was a goofball and a nerd, and a jokester and shit. But he was a fucking man. Like, yeah, some of the other heroes might have thought he was goofy and maybe even annoying. But trust me, they all fucking respected him. Yeah. Even if they were annoyed by his buffoonery, they knew... They knew he was a fucking real deal. And they knew when the shit was hitting the fan. You were glad he was there. I don't feel like that's what the character is anymore. Yeah. And it's, whatever, man. I don't own the character. They can do what they want with it, I guess. Well, fans just got to get used to this. Okay, I guess you got to get used to low sales. I guess you got to get used to having a new #1 for Amazing Spider-Man every 2 fucking years. Try and keep it afloat. I guess you got to get used to that. I have the old shit. It's never going to fucking, Thankfully, you keep that old shit in print. The good shit. And I can always buy Ultimate Spider-Man. Where he actually is a fucking man. And has a hot redhead wife. And it will just continue to outsell Amazing, I guess. They just gave, just this past month, Amazing another #1. Or maybe it was 2 months ago. And that one outsold Ultimate. I believe #2 didn't, though. So yeah, keep trying to shock that corpse, I guess. I don't know. You could fix it. I guarantee you, if they were like, hey, we're undoing One More Day, big storyline, big event, I bet you that shit would sell like a candy-coated AIDS cure. But, just don't do it, I guess. Just do this terrible shit instead, I guess. Beat the fucking multiverse to death. It's Spider-Verse versus Venomverse. Cool, bro. That's cool and all, but you think you could just undo One More Day? So that the main Spider-Man in the main universe could, not suck? It was some little fucking Spider-Verse little storyline where like Spider-Man was a fucking vampire for some reason, and MJ was a vampire hunter, and he turns her into a vampire, and they go do vampire stuff, and I was like, God, man, I like this Spider-Man more than the main universe one. At least he's not a faggot cuck. He's not sitting in a corner watching Paul fucking go at it on MJ. Oh, man. I don't know. People in charge just want to fucking wreck shit, I guess. I mean, shit's so bad that even Star Wars fans aren't happy with current Star Wars. And Star Wars fans will eat all kinds of shit with a smile on their face. How bad do you have to make things so that even the low fucking bar of Star Wars fans, even their fucking low bar, isn't reached? We've gone on for about an hour. To be honest, I didn't even think I'd go on for this long. I really just wanted to see if I could actually fucking stream. Like I said, twice earlier this evening, I tried to do it, and it just would not stay connected. The one wouldn't go through at all. The other one booted me off during the intro songs, and I don't know. I didn't see it when it initially did it. But I turned it off and I checked the video, and the video was 28 seconds. That's how long it took. And I wanted to like play it to see if it would like see what fucking happened. And so I went and tried to play it, and it said like video wouldn't load. And I thought, oh man, it's maybe something wrong with the potato laptop that's dying. I even brought it up on my phone. Video wouldn't load. I was like, oh, well, I deleted it, obviously. But whatever. That's not it. None of you care. Anyways, if you enjoy the content I put out, do consider supporting the show. And I don't know why you would. It's dog shit. But it's better than one more day. You know, nobody on the Beckloff show is going to trade their wife for their mom to the devil. We're not going to do that. We're not doing that here. We're not about that. We believe in redhead girlfriend supremacy on this show. But if you do enjoy the content, consider supporting the show because I need the money. Streamlabs.com/TheBeckloff. PayPal.me/TheBeckloff. I mean, I'm even willing to call a small child the N-word. If it'll get me, especially if it'll get me $500,000. You don't want to know what I'll do for $500,000. Unless you have $500,000, in which case, fucking hit me up. Also, paypal.me/TheBeckloff. And I'll put a link to the Amazon wishlist down below if you would like to buy me some of the dumb shit that I like. Oh, and it's $15 for a playlist. We'll be back on the sponsored playlist tomorrow. Like I said, wasn't even sure this was going to be a real show. So, let's see. That's about it for tonight, folks. I want to thank you all for listening.